with the purpose. I am your host, Donna Janelle, where I strive to bring back the responsibility, nobility, and beauty back into parenting. As I say, parents are the bows and our children are arrows, and they will land wherever we aim them. Might not be today, might not be tomorrow. Hey, it might not be next year. I don't even know when they're gonna land, because right now I'm trying to figure out when my children are gonna land where I aim them. But eventually they do land wherever we aim them, right? As long as we're putting those things in them that we need to, giving them the tools to be able to be successful in their life, whatever success means to you and your family. Because we don't want to send our kids outside naked, right? And let the world dress them. Because we see what's going on now. There's so many things going on now, right now, where we see that even when we think we're sending our kids off to places where they can be singers, actors, they can go for their dreams. And we see right now firsthand there's so many things going on behind the scenes of a lot of these things. And, I just believe if we dress our children the right way, that some of these things that's going on wouldn't happen to our children, because we're building them to a place where they can have conversations with us. They can have conversations with a trusted adult. Just some of the stuff that's going on right now that's not so good. And I'm not going to mention it all because it's making my stomach hurt just thinking about a lot of things that's going on in society right now with our children, with individuals who we think that we can trust them because they want the best interest for our kids, and they just really kind of want the best interest for themselves and their own selfish intent. So again, as parents though, we just got to make sure our children are safe by any means necessary. And if you got to be that parent that's always on the scene, if you got to be the mom manager, whatever you got to do to protect your children, do it, because nobody loves your children like you do. And nobody wants to protect your children to the level, will protect your children to the level that you do. So just wanted to talk about that for a second, because there's a lot going on in the world when it comes to the entertainment business, whether it's acting or music. There's just a lot of stuff that's been uncovered that these children has been going through for a long time, just to try to reach their goals and their dreams and aspirations. So sometimes, we push our kids so much where they want to become certain things, and we're proud of them, and we're proud of you, and they feel like they got to hold on to some things like secrets, or even if they're uncomfortable in situations, just so they can make us proud. Sometimes these children are really just trying to make their parents proud, so they're not able to express some things that's going on with them, even if they're in an uncomfortable situation. But tonight we're going to be talking about, I thought it was important right now that we talked about so many things this year so far. We talked about, vision. We talked about growth in the family. We talked about nutrition. We talked about breaking generational curses. We talked about dealing with narcissistic parents. We talked about so many things. We talked about fostering. We talked about what it's like for young men being raised by a single mom. We were kind of heavy this year, and we're at the end of March, and we were kind of heavy. So I wanted to go back though. I wanted to talk about morals, values and morals, because a lot of things that we see what's going on with our children, it kind of stems back from the household of what do we believe? How are we exemplifying what we believe, right? Our morals and values, because I feel like if you don't stand for something, you're going to fall for everything. Right? The old saying, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. But I'm telling you, if you don't stand for something valuable, something important, if you don't have a great foundation, you're going to fall for everything. I mean, you're going to be tossed to and from with every wind. You're not stable. It's just a bad thing if we don't stand for something. And what happens with that is that it triggers down to our children, right? If they see that we don't have any values or any morals, then they're in this world without values and morals, and then they start having children without values and morals, and we're just adding more chaos to the world. Our job as parents parenting is like the number one job, and I can honestly say it's the best job. It's the hardest job. It is the hardest job. Well, wait, hold up. I said I'm not going to say hard anymore, right? It is one of the most challenging jobs out there, but it's so rewarding. It has ups and downs, ins and outs, but at the end of the day, to be responsible for raising and help nurturing a child to grow into this world and society to make a great impact. It's a gift. It is such a beautiful gift. Even with its challenges, it's a gift. Now, I told y'all, I'm at the stage where I got these teenagers and they're very challenging, right? They want to test my inner gangster every day. And I told you the one. Now, y'all know her by now, but she really want to test my inner gangster. She's done some stuff this week already, and I just looked at her and laughed, y'all. That's all I did. Last night, matter of fact, she decided she wanted to eat dinner about 8. She was home from school for about 4 hours, and then at 8:45, she wanted to come down in the kitchen and decide she wanted to make dinner. I was confused. I was like, what are you doing? She was like, I'm hungry. Oh, really? So just those little things when she know my kitchen is shut down at 8 o'clock every night, right? No, she just wanted to challenge me. It's all good though. So that she done a couple things this week, but I'm gonna let her slide, y'all. I'm not gonna put her out there this week. Just that one challenging thing. But as we talk about like morals, like what do you stand for? What do you want your children to stand for? How do you want your children to behave? I have this thing that I wrote, right? It says, teaching our children moral value is one of the most important responsibilities we as parents have. In order for our children to act morally, they need to know what's good and care about the good and practice doing the good. So it's not like we're just teaching them by saying, listen, this is what I need you to do. This is how I need you to behave, but we're exemplifying before our children so that they can pick it up, they can grab it, and they can say, okay, this is what you're saying, this is what it looks like, right? It's really about being an example for our kids, and then also how we treat our kids is how they're going to treat other people, right? Other adults or other kids. Sometimes I wonder, I'm like, who raised you? Sometimes I see some adults and I'm like, who raised you? Because just the way that and the manner that people talk to each other, the level of disrespect that people have for each other, it brings me great concern about like what's going on in your life. Why do you have to treat people this particular way? And to think like they have children. I had a conversation and this mom literally was just cursing her kids out. Come get this effing food. Do this and do that. And I was like, listen, if you told me to come get some effing food, I don't even want the food. Like, if you treat me that way, like, what happened to the love, caring, and nurturing? Like, I mean, can you be happy you're feeding me? Like, don't make like you feeding me such a hassle or a chore. Can you get some joy behind that? Imagine going to a restaurant, right? And the server, right, the waitress or the waiter, they come and they throw your food on the table and says, here's your food. Yo, and you're like, I don't want that food. Like, I mean, you're going to send that food back. You probably get up and leave the restaurant. You want to speak to the manager. You want to speak to the owner. You're like, I don't like this service. This is distasteful. Like, I can't even eat. I lost my appetite because of the way the person's treating me. You ever go to a store, even if it's just not a restaurant, even like a fast food restaurant and a customer service, and you like, I don't even want the food because I don't like your attitude. So imagine how we as parents do to our children sometimes. Like, when we have an attitude or we have a nasty just demeanor about ourselves, and then we expect our children to be old gung-ho, old Joey, and accepting what you're giving them when you just literally treat them like trash. And sometimes it's not even intentional. Honestly, it is, we had a long day. Whatever going on in our mind and our hearts, we're frustrated something. Maybe the light bills due. Maybe you had to work so hard to get that food. Maybe you barely knew what you were going to cook for dinner. But that translates to our kids as if they become a burden to us because we have to do these things, right? So just thinking consciously of how do we treat our children, because sometimes, like I said, if we're dealing with, listen, I'm guilty of it too. When I'm having a hard day and I'm just so frustrated, and my kids, 2 of my kids think that they're like the queen of negotiation. Everything is a negotiation. Go turn the water on. I got 20 stories while that water was on, but I didn't ask the 20 stories, right? But they think that they're queen of negotiation. So sometimes I get a little short with them and I get a little frustrated, like, I don't want to hear it. Just stop talking. Stop talking. And I don't say it the best way, though. I don't say it nice and I don't say it kind because, one, I'm frustrated. Then I already had this long day, and all I'm simply saying is I'm going to need you to next time, just make sure the water is off, because, we do pay for water. Well, I pay for water around here. And I don't want to hear this extra stuff. So sometimes I'm very short with her. um not it ain't just the one, sometimes it's both of them. I'm very short with the both of the girls, but even in that I kind of pull back and go back and apologize and say, listen, this is why I did this, or this is why I do that. And sometimes I don't apologize, because sometimes, like, listen, it is what it is. It is what it is. I don't even have to explain to you. I said it. That's it. Because some things it's just I said it and that's it. I don't mind, children having an opinion, everything, but sometimes that's just it. Enough is enough, especially when you want to go around a circle 20 times, and I just don't. I can't sometimes. So that's what I'm talking about when we talk about morals or behaviors and things like that. Really exemplify what our children need to see. I'm gonna read this because I have this on my wall in my house, and it kind of years ago I seen this, probably about a good 15 years ago, whatever. And it says, be careful of your thoughts, because your thoughts become your words. Be careful of your words, because your words become your actions. Be careful of your actions, because your actions become your habit. Be careful of your habits, because your habits become your character. And be careful of your character, because your character becomes your destiny. That is powerful right there, right? Because that makes you stop, look, and listen. Remember when we were younger, they were like, stop, look, and listen. And it all becomes a thought, right? Whatever we think about, we begin to speak, right? And whatever we speak, we begin to act. Like if I think a thing, I speak a thing, and now I'm acting on that thing. And that thing, whatever it is, maybe it'll be good, bad, or indifferent, that thing becomes a habit, right? How I'm acting is now becoming a habit. And then that habit builds my character. That shows who I am, right? When we talked about even the person serving the food, being nasty, serving the food. Like now this has become a habit in you, and now this is your character. This is who you are, right? And then that character, it translates to where you're going to go in life, right? It translates to your destiny. There's a saying where I said, a couple times on the show before, I talked about one of my daughters, right? Where I said that she had an opportunity to go to California to be an actress. She, you know how we do like the different stages, like American Idol, like you get voted, you do this and do that. She had a great opportunity, maybe about 2 or 3 years ago, and she had went to each level, right? She was doing phenomenal. She was acting. She had professional coach people from Disney, Nickelodeon, like people that was in like the guy that was in Spy Kids, like she really had some great coaches, right? And she was ready to go. Listen, she was ready to go to California. They already was paying for her to go to California. I was going to go out there. She was going to literally be out there for a week, right? And she had the opportunity to be auditioning for sitcoms. She had the opportunity to, and not only for just acting, they wanted her to model as well, right? She had all this opportunity. I was so happy for her because it's something that she likes to do, right? Because she do local acting now. Man, but after I prayed about it and really just watched her and talked to her, and I realized her character was not straight, I was like, no. And that was like one of the hardest decisions as a mom, because we have to make some unpopular decisions. And I was so gung-ho for her to go. I was so happy. I was celebrating her. But after watching her and just, warning her about her behavior and things like that, and realized that her character was not where it needs to be. Now, we know that our children are still growing, right? But I thought about it. If I send my daughter out there to California and her character is not solid, even at her age, that she's going to get into that entertainment world, right? And all types of stuff happen. You know what happens. They have drugs, alcohol, sexting, all this crazy stuff will happen. Now, first of all, I was going to be there as a mom manager anyway, but I felt like I was going to be fighting a battle. And I just didn't want to do that. And I didn't want that for her. I was like, listen, as you continue to grow and mature, there will be plenty of opportunities. Because imagine like you teaching your kid, right? And they're doing all these great things that we're giving them all the accolades, but they get in the room and they can't stay in the room because of their character. They're treating people nasty. They just being not a good person, right? So, you ever see these professional people, whether it's actors or sports figures or whatever, you ever see them do so great in their talent, right? They're really great playing basketball. They're really great playing football. They're really great. There's the bomb actor, right? The bomb actress, right? You like, oh, they got it all together. And then when you realize once they start speaking or once you start hearing about some things they do, and you like, that is nasty. That is a nasty character. Like, the character of that person is nasty. And then you start thinking about, you don't want to watch no more things that they done. For example, the R&B star that's in jail for having sex with minor age children, right? Had some great hits, man. There was some hits I was listening to, right? I grew up on these hits. My mom used to play the album all the time, right? She used to play it. I used to sing it. Even as a younger adult, I used to sing it. But once this stuff came out about what this person actually does outside of the music industry, just who he is on a daily basis, just his character, I could no longer listen to his music. Now, we might say, well, what does that have to do with his music? It has a whole lot to do with his music, because I don't want to support anybody whose character is like that. Right, having sex with minors and forcing minors to do all these different things. Like, I don't want to be associated with anybody like that, right? So his talent was great, right? He was a great musician, great artist, but his character could not keep him in the industry. Why? Because of his behavior, right? Because he can't stay there. Now he's in jail. I think he served, like, he's doing 30 years, right? But that's what I'm talking about. Like, you could build your kid up to be the best basketball player, the best football player, all these things. And even yourself as a parent could be the CEO of a company. You could do all these great things, right? But then your character is shot. It's nasty. And it's not going to keep you elevating. It's not going to keep you growing. So as parents, our job is to make sure that we are displaying good character, that we're putting good stuff in our kids. And the only way that we're going to do that is, right, if we're displaying good character, if we're walking the walk and talking the talk, like if we're doing it ourselves. Because kids don't just listen to what you say, they watch you, right? So I wanted to go over some morals, like, and it's, I pretty much have a list here, but it's however you want to do in your house, whatever this means to you, but just something to provoke us thinking about how we should behave and how that translates to our children. Because, we keep saying that this world is crazy and these kids are out of control. But honestly, if we go back to the root of it, a lot of the times it's because parents are out in control, and because their parents were out in control, and their parents were out of control of their parents. So it has to stop somewhere. So I feel like at this time in the season that we're in and the world that we're living in, that our children really do have a promising future if we get it together as parents ourselves. If we start to invest in ourselves as parents, if we start to and then invest in our children. So it's very important that we do a reality check, a self-evaluation for ourselves, and say, okay, I don't like how that look. I don't like how that smell. If you don't like something smelling right, you're going to fix it. The same thing, if you don't like the way something looks, you're going to try to correct it, right? So we're going to talk about this. So one of the morals, so here it is. It says, what virtues does your family most value? Like, your values guide your decision. Your decisions determine the quality of life. So here goes some of them to consider. So when we talk about acceptance, right? What is acceptance? Because these are the things that we want our children to display as they grow, right? Acceptance, it says an objective attitude towards another idea, practices that differ from our own. Basically, is that learning to accept people for who they are, right? Not saying that you have to always be in connection with people if you don't like, their character or things like that, but really accept people for who they are, whatever gender they are, whatever race they are. A lot of times when we talk about accept people who they are, we always talk about kind of like race, right? But I think it goes deeper than that. It goes gender, it goes whatever ideas that person like, whoever that person is, like, accept them. And one of the ways as parents that we could teach our children acceptance is how we accept our children. How do you accept your children? Because as parents, we got an idea of what we want our kids to look, act, and think like we own them, and we got all this control. So we have our ideas of how we want them to be, right? But there are some things that they do that's just who they are, and it's not a bad thing. That's just who they are. You may not like certain things. Like, for example, I don't like how one of my kids dress, right? I don't like how they dress, because I'm well put together, and sometimes I'm like, what do you have on and why do you have on? But that's how she feels comfortable. She likes to wear loose clothes. She likes to I don't know what it's called, but she likes to dress the way she likes to dress, y'all. And I found myself criticizing her a lot because I'm thinking like, that's not what I want you to wear. Now, it's not like she wearing no scandalous clothes and nothing crazy and not wearing all black and all this other stuff. She's not doing that. It's just that her style is not my style. And sometimes we try to force ourselves on our kids instead of just letting them be who they are. So I'm learning how to accept her for the way she is or the things that she likes to do. Like, or even my son. My son is a very quiet young man. And that's very different from me, as you can tell. And that's very different from the girls. So in our household, we learning to accept him for the way he is. Like, we don't have to force ourselves on him, force him to do all these things that we do. We can appreciate for who he is. And I think it starts in the household. If we learn how to accept each other in our household, then when our children go out in the world, they can learn acceptance. They can be already understanding and says, okay, that person may not look like me, smell like me, talk like me, act like me, but I can understand and appreciate a person for who they are and what they're doing, right? And then after, we talk about the acceptance, it comes along with compassion, right? Compassion is understanding the suffering of others and self and doing something about it. So compassion for, I don't know. It's like teaching compassion, at a young age, it seemed like it's easier than to do it as an older age kid. So it got to kind of be from the beginning, but just teaching compassion is like, when you see somebody's hurting, be the one to go help them, right? If you see somebody who don't have lunch, be the one to give them lunch. Or if you just see a need, having compassion for people, right? For example, there's a situation right now that's going on in our city, right? The young lady, she ended up in a creek from a real bad rainstorm, right? And they still cannot find her body. The young lady is only 6 years old. Compassion is people in the community coming together and going to go help this family, going to go make sure that they support the family, make sure that they're praying for the family, make sure that they're providing meals for the family. Because, if your child is missing, you're up all night and all day. You're trying to figure this out. And even supporting those who are supporting the family, like the law enforcement, the dive team, just providing stuff for them. That is compassion. You see somebody suffering, and I think if our children see us out there doing these things, that they too will learn how to do them. There was another situation. It was a lot going on this week, y'all. There was another situation in Maryland where the bridge, a boat hit the bridge and the bridge fell down. Broke down, London Bridge is falling down, literally fell down, y'all. And there was the dive team, and there were so many people out there, and there was groups of people really trying to make sure that these people are fed, make sure that there's water on the scene, make sure there's warm blankets. Like, that's compassion. That's seeing somebody go through something, and you want to help them. So if we can show that in our own household, right? If we can show compassion to one another, compassion to our children, we're compassionate to our children. Understanding like something happened, you'll get over it. Just get over it. Especially to our boys, we say, suck it up, man up. Or to the girls, like, listen, go ahead with that. Like, I see you. You don't need to be crying like that or stuff like that. Instead of understanding that there's a sufferer, somebody's suffering at the moment. So how do we treat people who are suffering, right? And also like, another one is courage, like teaching. These are morals that I think that parents should display, and then our children will pick up on them. So we're going to talk about it with our children, and then we're going to exemplify by our character or who we are or how we live, right? So courage, like teaching our kids, like even in difficult times, you can still overcome, right? If you get a bad grade or, and I'm just saying for kids, if they get sometimes kids like me upset when you get a bad grade, but just teach them, listen, you can still do it. Just have the courage to keep going on. If they fall, hurt themselves, it doesn't matter. If their friendships didn't end up the way they wanted to, encourage them to keep it moving. Just the willingness to just keep going nonstop. That's courage. Like teaching them, listen, no matter how hard it is, how dark the situation may be, you can still overcome that. And the best way to teach these children is life situations. I think everything is a teachable moment. in your household, whatever's going on, even if you're having a rough time, showing your children that you're overcoming some things. For example, I had back in 2020, I had 3 strokes, and my children was able to see my courage and willingness to keep moving forward no matter what. Now, they didn't want to see their mom like that, and I didn't want to be like that, but they actually got to see me keep moving forward, even when I couldn't walk, trying to walk. So just showing our kids that the courage just to keep moving forward no matter what. Also, one of the things that I don't know, like the word fairness to me is interesting. Cause you always hear people say, that ain't fair, this ain't fair, that ain't fair. But fair is just a way of saying like act appropriately, share appropriately, right? Don't treat one person better than the other. Be fair, be across the board, be the same. Like, don't change up, don't switch up. Just because this person is around or that person is around, for example, a lot of times people may go to church, right? And they have one behavior at church, right? And then they get home and they switch up. And the kids is like, I don't know if you Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hyde, what's going on? How you're acting one way here or acting another way at home, or acting a particular way or a particular way around other people, but then when you get home, you all discombobulated, you all out of pocket. And your kids are just like, how is that fair? You behave this way here, and then here you're this way. So it confuses our kids of how they should act as well, how they should to be like, it's okay to switch on and off or be double-sided. So just teaching, I feel like that needs to be a moral that we treat people fairly. Like we're sharing appropriately. We're not just treating you this way because you have money and you don't have money. Like, just none of that. Like, we really need to be fair. And then when we talk about the fairness, we talk about generosity, right? Because what comes to my mind is that how we treat people who have money versus people who don't have money, or people who live in a house versus people who are homeless, right? How we treat people. And so when we talk about like sharing appropriate, being fair, then we get into to generosity, right? Are we willing to give resources? Are we willing to help others in a time of need, right? So are we teaching our children to be generous? Like, I know I want my children to be generous, right? I want generosity to go through my family because that's the way I live. So if they see you helping other people, if they see you treating people well, that literally goes on to them, and they're like, well, this is just a lifestyle that we have, right? This is what we do. And then they understand why we do it. For example, I remember years ago, my son, he wanted to give all our money to the homeless man, right? You know, the people, they come out, the handlers, they come out and they come out with their signs and all that. And I have just watched a documentary, right, on how some of these people are scammers, right? How they literally had a documentary where they watched them put these clothes on and do all this and make that look like they were really homeless, right? And then after their shift was over, they went back in their car and they went into a mansion. And it was a bunch of people living in a mansion. And my heart was hurt. And I was like, I give money to the homeless, the people who are standing while I'm at the light and stuff. And my son wanted to give, like, I gave a couple dollars. My son was like, we need to give more money. They're hungry. But what made me stop, though, is because I was like, I don't even know if these people really going to be using my money. So he had said to me, he was like, Mom, honestly, it doesn't matter what they do with the money. The fact that you help them out for whatever their need is more important, that you were giving. And I was like, yeah, but I don't want them to take my money and they're not in need. But just for him to understand what generosity is, like, he was like, I'm not responsible for what they do with the money. I'm just responsible that my heart is good enough to be able to give, right? Yeah. That hit me because I just was like, yeah, but I'm not getting all my money. So then I explained to him, because I didn't want his heart to be crushed, right? And said, my mom is cheap. My mom don't want to help the people, I really explained to him what happened and why I made the decision. And he was like, well, not everybody does it. I said, I get it. But right now, I'm going to give them a little bit, and then somebody else going to come along and get them some more too, right? Or even just if you're like, for example, our church, they feed the homeless, right? They feed them and they clothe the homeless. So even taking your kids to events like that where people actually come and they're in need and you're being generous, you're helping. And being generous is not even about always giving somebody money, always giving somebody food or clothes. Being generous is like even generous with your time. Like taking that time for people, like really giving up yourself for a moment if somebody needs to talk to you, if somebody, and I think my kids does that really well. Like, well, the one that tests my inner gangster, because, she out there. So she's very generous with her time, with her friends and listening. She's always got a listening ear because everybody's problem seems to be this girl's problem. So she's always generous in the sense of having an ear, listening. And I don't discourage that. I just tell her not to get involved in whatever's going on. You can kind of give some advice, but you don't get in the middle of it. But she does try to be the mediator. So I feel like she's being generous because she thinks that she can help solve the problem. A gratitude, the attitude of gratitude is another one that I'm big on that too. Gratitude. Because it's important to show appreciation to others, even for the smallest things. And as you notice, as I go down this list, it's really about serving, right? It's really about helping one another. As we get, it's like the foundation of, who we are, right? And then it goes into these moral things of the things that we do, right? So when we talk about gratitude, we're talking about our attitude, our lifestyle. How do we live? How do we appreciate others? And I think one of the biggest ways that we can show our children how to have gratitude is we ourselves show gratitude, and not just on their birthdays, good report card, or they did well in sport. Really showing a gratitude that the fact that like you're here, you're mine. I am grateful that you're here. Even if for the, the small things of, oh, your room looks nice today. Like not always, oh, why your room not clean? Why this or why that? And even when we think about our adult children, right? Being grateful that there are children and showing them and explaining to them some things that you're grateful for. I'm grateful that, you're holding down a job and you're doing really well. I'm grateful that you're not out on the street. Like just being the attitude of gratitude, appreciative. Like I appreciate who you are as a person. I think that if we start doing that in our own household, that really will spill out to the world, because there's a saying, what goes on in the house will eventually goes on outside, right? Whatever you do in your body, however you take care in your body, you're going to be able to see it on the outside of your body, right? It's going to be displayed because it can't just stay in, right? So that's the same thing. Whatever you do at home, you will be able to see the fruit of it in the community, see the fruit of it as your children grow and flourish, right? Another one, like honesty, teaching our children to be honest. I'm thinking about, whatever my parents used to say, whatever you do, don't lie to me. Don't lie to me. And that whole little thing, a little white lie, a little lie here, a little lie there. But I don't even know how lies become color. I don't even know, honestly, how these lies become colorful or colorless or whatever. But teaching our children to be honest. But the most important thing, how we can teach our children to be honest, is if we're honest with them. Sometimes as parents, we want to cover things up, or we want to keep information from them. And we really operate in dishonesty. And when we wonder why our kids are walking around being dishonest. So I think there's a way of being honest, though, age appropriate, but not to lie or deceive or anything like that. Really think about, how do you want to share this information so that it's digestible, right? Because we have to do it age appropriate, and it has to be digestible. Like honesty, sometimes we can be so honest and we can be so frank where we can damage people, right? So really just teaching them how to be honest and how allow it to be digestible, right? How it displays on the palate, right? For example, I remember one of my kids, I don't remember which one. It might have been all of them. You know how we talk about the tooth fairy when we talk about the holidays, like, or Easter, like the Easter bunny coming to do this, or Santa Claus coming to do this. And as our kids get older, right, they start realizing that those things don't exist, right? And they straight up and say, Mom or Dad, you lied to me. Why would you lie to me? Even that simple lie like that really is really kind of put some distrust in our children, right? We think that it's small. We want to have the fantasy of it, right? And, I don't want to take fantasies away from kids, but at the same time, being honest in an age-appropriate way so that we don't destroy their fantasies, crush their fantasy, but at the same time, being real. Listen, that is what we see on TV. That is, a fantasy, That's the thing that we see, like, but honestly, Mom and Dad work really hard, and why do you think we ask you what you want for this holiday or something like that? Just have a conversation where we're just being honest, though, but honest in a good way. And it really does teach our children how to be honest, because any minute they'll be like, listen, you lied to me about A, B, and C, and you saying, well, I just wanted to protect you. So then they start thinking, well, I'm going to lie to protect people too, right? So you see how that kind of just keep going. We think it's a small thing, but it can be a big thing. Another thing, that teaching our children to have integrity, man, this is a big thing. I think integrity goes along with character, right? How do you act? Who are you, right? What do you stand for? There are so many situations where our integrity can be challenged, right? And again, I'm talking about really making sure that we are displaying these morals in our house, and our children know what we stand for, right? Our children know it because they see it in us, and then we're also explaining to them integrity. Like, what is integrity, right? Like sticking to your principles, sticking to the ethics and the values, right? I had a situation, and one of my kids, I'm not going to say which one because I'm not going to put him out there, but we were at the Wawa, and you know how you get these slushies, right? You got small, medium, and large slushies. And my one child particularly wanted to get a large slushy, and then wanted me to say, because you could do the self-checkouts, right? Wanted me to ring it up as a small. And I'm like, what we doing? And why would you do that? Oh, it's cheaper. And I was like, but why? Like, I have the money to pay for the larger one. Why would you want to pay for something that you didn't have? Like, I just couldn't understand the whole thing. So I did an integrity lesson there. I said, listen, it's, integrity is doing the right thing even when somebody isn't looking. It's like who you are. What do you stand for? And then I said, I go all the way left. Sometimes I can overdo it, I can admit. So I'm like, well, if you lie, you steal, and you cheating, and then you killing. Like, I went everywhere. I was like, you lie, you steal, you cheat, you kill. I went into the whole thing, and then he was like, this is not a video game. But no, I was being so serious because we think it's little small things. Like I said, listen, it starts by you being dishonest with this system here, saying that you have a small drink when you have a large. So that's stealing. That is stealing straight up because you're being dishonest. I said, so then what happens when there's another situation and you try to do the same thing, but it's a bigger issue, and it becomes bigger and bigger, and then next thing you know, you're arrested and you in jail for stealing. Mom, I'm not going to jail for stealing. It was just a small thing. Yeah, but it's not right. It's not right. So integrity is doing the right thing even when nobody's looking. So teaching our children that. So I could have easily been one of those moms like, yeah. Let me save some money on this. Let me save some money. So you get whatever you want. I'm gonna save some money. No, not around here. We're not doing that. Even if I didn't even have the money. First of all, if I didn't even have the money to get it, I wouldn't even be in the store getting it, right? If I only had the money for a small, you would have been getting a small. The fact that I let you get a large showed you that I'm good. Like, I don't need you to try to save me money. It's just dishonest. So teaching our children, not going along with it. Because sometimes as parents, like, we like, oh, it's just a small thing, it's a small thing. But really, that's teaching them how to have good integrity. Like, listen, don't do that. Now, you know, he's never done that. They never did that again with me. Cause I was just like, no, I don't know what they do when they're not with me. But I'm hoping, and my prayer is that because I took a stand and said, nah, we don't do that around here, that they won't do that, or they think about what I said. What else? Respect. Y'all know I'm big on respect. I talk about respect every week, right? I talk about respect, man. Something about respect just it gets to me. And I'm learning for not to say everything is disrespectful because I don't like it, right? That's one of the things, and that's one of my flaws, y'all. And that's one of the things I'm working on, even in as parenting, because I'll be thinking, like, when my kids do something, that's disrespectful. If you come in the house and put your shoes in the middle of the floor, man, why you gotta be so disrespectful, right? Like, everything to me is, I take as it's against me and it's disrespectful. So my kids be like, Mom, how is that disrespectful? And here I am, because it is. I can't believe you just listen, I cleaned this living room. You know, I go into that whole cleaning thing and feel disrespectful when my dishes not done and stuff. But teaching our children to be considerate and respectful is important. And really not, I'm learning not to, like, really mislead them of what respect is, right? Because I told you, I'm always saying that things is disrespectful, and some things is just not disrespectful, y'all. I just make it like it is because I feel, because again, it's me feeling like it's disrespectful, but some things just really not respectful. So really teaching them what's respectful and what's disrespectful, and having a good conversation about that. And one of the things that the kids, I often hear kids say, particularly teenagers though, not just mine, but other teenagers, when you get into the situations where they're at school and somebody's yelling at them or not treating them so nice, an adult, and they'll say, well, they disrespected me, so I disrespected them. So even teaching our children, like, even if somebody disrespects them, that doesn't mean that you change who you are. Like, if you're a respectful, upstanding person, don't change who you are because of the way somebody's treating you. Now, don't let nobody treat you just in your way. Walk away. There's some other coping things that we can do when people become disrespectful to us. But being disrespectful back is a no. Like, because that doesn't solve the problem, right? You're literally doing what you don't want them to do to you. Right? So just teaching them really how to balance that and what respect really mean and how respect should be utilized in this world. And the best way to do that, again, is if they see it on us, if they see us respecting people, talking to people, right? Not just treating people just nasty or inconsiderate. If they see us doing these things, then they'll start picking it up and understanding. And again, like I said, they might not even understand today. They might not even get it tomorrow. But eventually that stuff will sink in their head. Like, they're sponges. That stuff will get in them. And they begin to start displaying that without even realizing, like, whoa. And I'm famous saying, yo, I remember when my mom used to do that, or I got that from my mama. So just really just exemplifying just good characters, right? Teaching them responsibility. This is a big one too. Like, in our families, we got to teach them to be responsible, not giving an excuse for everything or why they didn't do something or blaming someone else for something that you did. Like, really take accountability, be responsible for some things, right? And being reliable, like if you say you're going to do something, do it. If you say you're going to be somewhere, show up. Like, just being reliable, just being responsible for who you are as a person, responsible for the things that you say, responsible for the way that you act, right? Just really being responsible in our obligations. And I think one of the ways as parents that we could do that is if we're telling our children we're going to do something and we do it. Or if we can't do it, we explain to them why. Not, oh, we just not going to do this today, or just, whatever goes on in your household, there's different ways that we can say it, but really just being reliable. Are we as parents reliable? That's the question. Are we reliable? Because if we're reliable and responsible, our children will be too. Because you can't grow up in a house and you have all these things, and then you go out in the street, you start acting a fool. Now you might try it a little bit, but because something that is ingrained in them or ingrained in us, like that won't last for long. That's like water that just goes away. That evaporates because you have something deeper. There's a substance that's deeper within you. And that's what we're really trying to build in our kids, a deeper substance, something that's weighty, that holds them, right? And when we talk about self-control, right? Control our words. Control our words, control our behaviors. You know, a lot of it is, we talked about be careful of your thoughts because your thoughts become your words, right? And be careful of your words because your words become your actions. So if I'm thinking negative, I'm going to start speaking negative, and then I'm going to start responding negative, right? So just even being, even when we upset at our kids or upset at our spouse or upset at another adult or whatever, just being, having that control of self, like, you know, I'm quick to walk away. My kids will tell you, like, I will walk away and I'll start singing Jesus on the main line. I'm calling you up. I'm telling you what I want. I start saying, I have all these different sayings to keep me calm, to bring me back in so that I can take a deep breath and not really be explosive, because there are some situations where you get frustrated, you be explosive. I told y'all a couple weeks ago about how I was so upset. I threw all the pots and dishes all on the floor in the kitchen because I was out of control, because I was so upset that I literally was out of control. And I knew I was out of control because even I had to go upstairs and try to get myself back together. But even in those situations, if we teach our children how to respond to things that we're not happy about, things that anger us, things that gets us upset, and how we can control ourselves, they too will do the same thing. We don't have to worry about teachers calling us, talking about the child and through the chair, through the table, through the desk, got up in the teacher face, balling the fist up, do all these things that, you know, when we are angry and we don't have self-control, that's what happens. So really teaching our kids to have these morals and these foundations in the house. Like, as for me in my house, this is what we're going to do. Around here, we control ourselves, okay? Around here, this is what we do. Around here, we love people. Around here, you know, we help people. Around here, we're responsible. We take accountability for what we've done and what we didn't do, right? And then trustworthy. Can our children trust us? Or even when it's difficult, though, like, are we reliable even in difficult situations? Or are we like going off, and are we not being true to our own word because of situations? Listen, life be lifing, right? I keep telling y'all this. Life be lifing. And if you haven't learned yet, you're going to learn that life be lifing. Stuff just be happening, right? And because these things are happening, sometimes we get out of control. We don't become reliable because A or B or C happen. And all this our children sees, period. They see this. And when they see this, they start behaving this way. So as parents, it is very, very important for us to do a self-evaluation and say, all right, these are the morals I want my children to have. Am I displaying these morals? Am I acting appropriate according to the morals that I set before my family? Because everybody wants their children to be successful, right? And I believe every child wants their parents to be successful too, right? It ain't just about what we want for our children. It's really what our children want for us too. It's like, it's a relationship, right? It's a back and forth. It's a give and take. You know, our children learn from us. We learn from our children. So I believe that in order for us to be really holistic and have a great foundation, these are just, there's other morals in your family that you want to go by, so be it. There's other things, but I just listed some things that I thought about and what I really want to see in my kids and what other people have explained they want to see in their kids. And it's like, how do we do that? How do we get this in our kids? The number way of getting stuff into our kids is we live it ourselves. If we out here cussing, fighting, screaming, shouting, shooting up, stabbing, doing all this crazy stuff, and then we want our kids to be able to, oh no, just calm down. Just calm down. But you're not calm. You telling your kids to be calm and you ain't never calm. What's wrong with that? Right? So you gotta have self-control. We gotta begin to look at ourselves as parents, because we keep seeing all this stuff that's going on in the world, right? We keep seeing all this stuff that's going on with our kids. When we talk about violence and we talk about disrespect, we talking about, teachers fighting kids in school. Like, when we talk about all these things, right? And they're like, well, we need to do something to help the kids. And I'm just like, well, first of all, the reason why the kids are acting like that, because there's a disconnect, right? There's a disconnect for whatever reason. I'm not coming at nobody's household, but what I'm saying is that it all starts from the house. It all starts from home. It all starts from home, because you got to see it from somewhere, right? And if you spend most of your time at home, if you're being trained at home, this is the kind of behavior that's going to come out if this is behavior is demonstrated at home. So if we want our kids to be respectful, we want our kids to be trustworthy, we want our kids to be reliable, we want them to have good character, if we want our kids to have self-control, control yourself, parents. We as parents got to control ourselves, right? So again, there are so many different things that we can teach our kids, but I feel like our responsibility is to really teach them how to be morally right. Because we keep saying that this world is bad and evil, right? This world is so terrible, but we are in the world. It ain't like, the world is just here by itself. We are in the world. So that means that we are displaying some bad character. We are displaying some evil. We're displaying things that we keep talking about. It's the world, as if the world is just literally separated, that we don't live in the world. But one of the ways to help the world is to help our own household. Teach our children how to live right, how to act, how to think right. Teach our children how to think positive, how to think about what type of coping skills do I need so that when somebody does something to me, I don't have to be angry. Like, teach these things in our own household, and then that will trickle down into the world. Because if every household really take a look at the household, if we all take a self-evaluation of our household and say, okay, these are the things I'm seeing, these are the things I don't want to see, and these are the things I'm seeing. So how do we readjust, right? Reconstruct. How do we get there? And one of the ways to get there is really looking at ourselves as parents. So that's all I have for you tonight. Again, this is Donna Janelle with Parenting with a Purpose, where we strive to bring back the responsibility. We talked about responsibility today. We talked about being noble, right? Nobility, responsibility, nobility, and beauty into parenting. Now, I said a lot tonight, but parenting still is beautiful, right? There's some things that we gotta make sure that we get in line so that we can have our kids to be successful, and we gotta take responsibility for it. Period. We're in charge of our kids, right? We don't own them, but we're in charge of training them and allowing them to grow to be successful. So again, we are the bows, right? We're the bows. We're there standing, and they're there the arrows, and we're pulling them back, and we're sending them forward to be able to do whatever they need to do to be successful in life. So again, Donna Janelle, Parenting with Purpose. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. We'll see you back next week.